You are standing in the formula aisle. The cans look safe. The labels say trusted by pediatricians. Some say closest to breast milk. A few say gentle and science-backed. Almost all of them are lying to you. In 2025, Consumer Reports tested 41 powdered infant formulas sold in the United States. About half contained potentially concerning levels of at least one contaminant: lead, arsenic, BPA, acrylamide, in baby formula, on store shelves, right now. This video is not about which formula is best. We did that video. Tidsker, link is in the description. This video is about the brands you need to put back on the shelf. The ones hiding behind big marketing budgets and familiar names, while their ingredient labels tell a completely different story. Let's get into it. Brand number 1, Gerber Good Start. Start here, because this is the one most parents never question. Gerber Good Start is one of the most recognized formula brands in America. The packaging is friendly, the name is familiar. Nestlé, one of the largest food companies on the planet, is behind it, and none of that tells you anything about what's actually in the can. Here is what the packaging does not lead with. Corn syrup solids appear as a primary carbohydrate source in multiple Gerber lines. Corn syrup solids are a sweetener derived from corn starch. They are not found in breast milk. They are not a nutritional match for lactose, which is the dominant sugar in human milk, and they are banned from organic infant formula under European Union regulations, a regulatory system that has been updated and strengthened multiple times since the United States last meaningfully revised its infant formula law in 1998. That is not a coincidence. That is a gap in standards that brands like Gerber have filled with cheaper ingredients. But here is what moved Gerber to the top of this list. When Consumer Reports conducted its 2025 investigation into formula contaminants, Gerber did not respond to requests for comment on their testing methodology. A brand feeding millions of American infants, one of the most widely distributed formula companies in the country, declined to explain how it tests for lead and arsenic in its product. When a formula brand goes silent on that question, the silence is the answer. Brand number 2, Enfamil. Enfamil is manufactured by Mead Johnson, now owned by Reckitt. Together with Abbott's Similac, it controls the majority of formula distributed through WIC, the federal nutrition program that serves roughly half of all formula-fed infants in this country. When a brand reaches that scale, the stakes of its ingredient decisions are not abstract. The issue with Enfamil is not that every product is bad. Enfamil's NeuroPro flagship line uses lactose as its primary carbohydrate. That is a structural positive. But several other Enfamil lines, including Gently's, one of their most widely purchased products, rely on corn syrup solids as a carbohydrate substitute. The brand frames this as a solution for sensitive babies. That may be a legitimate clinical consideration for some infants. But the formulation gap between Enfamil's premium and specialty lines is significant, and it is rarely communicated to parents who are selecting formula based on their baby's symptoms rather than reading the ingredient panel with a critical eye. There is also a recall history that deserves attention. Enfamil has faced FDA actions in recent years related to labeling errors and quality control issues. At the scale Enfamil operates, any lapse in quality control touches a very large number of families. The standard of transparency should be proportional to that reach. It has not been. Brand number 3, Similac. Similac is the other half of the American formula duopoly. And like Enfamil, it supplies a significant share of WUIC formula nationwide. The brand's market dominance is not a safety credential. It is a market position. Those are not the same thing. In 2022, Abbott's Sturgis, Michigan manufacturing facility was shut down by the FDA after an inspection found Chronobacter sakazaki, a bacteria that can cause fatal infections in newborns, in the facility. The shutdown triggered a nationwide formula shortage. 4 infants were reported to have been infected. 2 died. Abbott issued a recall of formula produced at that facility, including Similac Alimentum and Elecare products. The recall itself is not the reason Similac appears on this list. Recalls happen. What belongs on this list is the pattern. A manufacturing environment that reached the level of an FDA shutdown and a shortage that left parents scrambling for alternatives for months. For a brand at this scale, that is not an anomaly. It is an accountability failure. Similac's ingredient panels are also inconsistent across its product lines. Several Similac formulas contain corn syrup or corn syrup solids as primary carbohydrates. The 360 total care line has improved transparency, but the improvements are uneven across the portfolio, and the brand has not committed to the level of third-party contaminant testing that would allow independent verification of safety claims. Brand number 4, store brand compared to formulas. This category deserves its own entry because it is where the transparency problem is most invisible to parents. Store brand formulas sold at Target, Walmart, Walgreens, and others under their own private labels are often marketed as identical to name brand formulas. The macronutrient profiles are federally regulated to meet the same minimum standards. That part is true. What is not identical, the third-party testing standards, the quality control documentation, the batch testing protocols, and the ingredient sourcing transparency. Store brand formulas are manufactured by contract facilities, in many cases the same facilities used by name brands. But the oversight requirements placed on those facilities by the retailer brand are not publicly disclosed. You cannot look up what testing the Target Up and Up formula undergoes before it ships. That information does not exist in any publicly accessible form. That opacity is the problem. At the federal minimum, all formula must meet FMVSS nutritional standards, but the FDA does not require manufacturers to test for heavy metals before a product ships. There is no federal legal limit for lead or arsenic in infant formula. When a store brand does not publish its contaminant testing results, and none of them do, you have no way to verify what is in the can beyond what the law requires. And what the law requires is far less than what independent testing has shown you should demand. What to do instead before the close? 2 watchdog sources you need to bookmark right now. Consumer Reports tests formula at retail. They purchase products themselves, no manufacturer samples, no sponsored results. Their 2025 formula testing is the most comprehensive independent study of contaminants in American formula to date. Their top choices list is in the description. The Clean Label Project is a nonprofit that conducts independent contaminant testing on consumer products, including baby formula. Their Purity Award requires documented batch testing, not self-reported claims. Brands that carry it have earned it. The brands that consistently perform well across both Bobby, Kendamil, Holly, High PP, and Little Spoon. All of them are covered in our previous formula video. Link in the description. The brands on this list are not on store shelves by accident. They are there because the American formula market is under-regulated, brand dominated and built on the assumption that parents will not read the label carefully enough to know the difference. Some of them are counting on exhaustion. A new parent at 3 a.m. standing in the formula aisle, grabbing the name they recognize. That recognition has been bought by marketing budgets, not earned by safety records. The most important thing you can do before you choose a formula: check Consumer Reports 2025 rankings and look for third-party contaminant test results. If a brand cannot show you those results or has never been asked to produce them, that tells you everything. Your baby cannot read the label. That job belongs to you. All links, Consumer Reports rankings, Clean Label Project results, and the top formula picks from our previous video are in the description below. If this helped, hit subscribe. We cover exactly this kind of thing every week, the stuff the industry hopes you skip past. I'll see you in the next one.